Welcome back to a Celtic State of Mind. We're live. I'm Paul John Dykes, and tonight I'm joined by Chris McElwain. We are here to discuss Aberdeen 1 Celtic 2. Chris, first half has been pretty open, I think, and that's probably due to the fact that, we've got a team here that's been thrown together this evening, and I think it would be good to focus on the guys who have come in to make maybe a rare appearance, the guys that are on the fringes, because they have contributed. Good and bad, I would say, if we're talking Nawrocki, Yang and Schlupp. But let's start off with the man that I used on the thumbnail, almost Nostradamus-like, at the beginning of this game, Mike Nawrocki. We were talking about him earlier today, and it was predicted that he would start tonight. He did, and he opened the scoring, and I think he played pretty well in that first half.
Looked tidy, I thought. Yeah, pretty tidy. Didn't look out of control at any point. I mean, the goal we lose is a bit of a collective failure, and not reacting to the stoppage. First of all, hope the individual who took unwell during the game, I sincerely hope they're doing okay. It sounded like they came through towards the end there, so fingers crossed it's nothing too serious. And big shout out to the medical team who were right on the ball to go in to go and help out there. So that was a big thing. You don't want to see anybody not make it home from a football match. But yeah, I mean, I think it was a bit of a scrappy game. But you're right. I thought Nawrocki, he looked comfortable in his role. We spoke about the fact he's on his natural side, which was good to see, and pops up with a really good goal. It was a cracking header, actually, really good delivery in, and a cracking header. But he's looked certainly, I think, the most capable defender in the team so far. Seems to be a game that's kind of suiting him, to be honest. And at times he's been quite good with his distribution as well, bringing the ball out for the back, which I think has been notable. I've liked his control on the ball.
A wee bit more adventurous. I think the big criticism of him has been pace, distribution, and carrying the ball. Things that, as a Celtic centre half, you've kind of got to have those attributes. And that was
I think so. Yeah.
What I find bizarre, Chris, is because we're in an age now where you don't need to be an elite club to be able to use data in terms of recruitment, and you should be able to tell about a player's speed, their distribution, their ball carrying ability. But I'll tell you, I've seen them tonight. And if you were to ask me which of the two centre halves was the £6 million acquisition based on that first 45, I know what my answer would be. I don't know if he's got a future at Celtic. I really don't. I don't know if Brendan Rodgers has made his mind up and he gets a game tonight because he's a naturally right-sided player, albeit Trusty and Scalesy played really well against the likes of Atalanta in the Champions League together. Two kind of like left-sided players both playing together. But I watched them tonight, Nawrocki. We said we would at the beginning of the game, just to try and make that call on him, if you like, because even if he doesn't have a future, he's played so little games for Celtic that even apparently Werder Bremen might want to. He might go back to Legia Warsaw. But they would take him on loan for a season because they're not convinced because of the lack of game time. So it's a very difficult situation for Mike Nawrocki, and I'm delighted for him. So's Daniel. Here we go. Daniel loves Nawrocki. Gets stuck in, takes players out. He was very hard when his bit.
He did on a couple of occasions, yeah.
Very, very hard when his bit. And it had to be a good tackle because he's in the box, of course. Don't have enough players like him. I mean, I'm going to get to the goal, right? Because I think the goal, if you take it back to the source of losing the ball, you can blame two or three players for just about every goal, Chris, right? And we could probably do the same tonight. But I think the main blame for me lies on the shoulders of one player. So up to that point, we've spoken about momentum a lot. It's one of the things that's difficult to gauge. It's difficult to put a figure on it, for example. But I know for a fact that when the tangerines were thrown on the park at Tannadice, we seemed to, stop their press and play a lot better afterwards, after the game was stopped. And as you say, the important thing here is that the gentleman in the Aberdeen crowd is safe and well. But Aberdeen seem to come into it after that. They seem to get a bounce after that, and Celtic come back a hell of a lot more. And they got what I would consider would be a deserved equaliser. Now, that's not a word that was invented by Donald Trump, despite his claim earlier on this week. Equaliser has been a word for some time. And obviously, you're looking at that, you're saying, who's to blame? Yes, Ralston should do better with regards to the source of the ball. You're then looking at the two in the centre of Celtic's goal, and the two are Trusty and Schlupp. But see, when you watch it back, there's only one player can win that ball, and it's Schlupp.
Oh,
You watch him in super slow-mo. He's not interested in winning that ball.
He shucks the challenge. He shucks
Absolutely.
the challenge. Yeah, he actually goes to cower away, which I hate to see a defender. I mean, don't like to see any player doing that, but a defender, no, it shouldn't happen. He's wrong side of the player for a start when the ball comes in. I mean, I think Ralston actually did a reasonably good job of trying to close down the cross. I thought he actually got a nick on it, and that's why it ended up with going to the player in the box that it did. And then he's kind of did a hit and hope kind of pass, which ultimately has led to the Nisbet scoring. But for me, Schlupp, he's wrong side on Nisbet, and he makes no attempt to use his physicality to try and win that ball, or even to put Nisbet off. And in fact, it looks like he's more interested in protecting himself. I thought that was a really, really poor effort from Schlupp for that goal. Not blaming him for the entirety. You're right. The move started a lot earlier, but
it's not good enough, mate.
That's your job. If you're on the man, you've got. If you can't win the ball, do enough to put the player off. And for me, just didn't get close enough. Didn't use the physicality, and whether he was too scared in case he gave away a penalty or he was worried about getting injured, I don't know. But do your job, man. It was poor.
It's one of the ones where, for all your technical ability, for all your attributes, Chris, to use your favourite word, it's one of the ones where just show a bit of heart, just win the ball, at least challenge, at least don't allow Nisbet to have a free header, because Nisbet will punish you. I think he scored 4 goals against Celtic over the piece. Now, I'm going to bring in some of these comments because I'm going to be pretty brutal with Schlupp tonight. And this is a player that, if you go back to that first period I'm coming to the football club, I was all for keeping him. I was all for keeping him.
I think as well, yeah, same.
I would pay for his train fare down the road at this moment in time. I think there's a moment where it's become clear. I think he's been given his update from Brendan Rodgers in relation to his future at this football club, and he's absolutely protecting himself. He doesn't want to get injured. He doesn't want to go in where it hurts, because he knows that come the summer, Crystal Palace are going to free him, and he's going to have to be fit to get another contract. And by the way, it does happen. People said, you should never question the professionalism of a footballer. Well, look at his performances since Bayern Munich. Seriously. His performance. We talk about Cliff's, Kuhn's performances falling off the edge of a cliff. I'll tell you what, Schlupp's performances have been worse since that game than Nicholas Kuhn. Ian Roy, here we go. Got to keep Yang and Nawrocki. Oh, we'll get to Yang. We'll get to the wee man, the busy-looking Yang. But Nawrocki's a strange one. I just feel like Brendan Rodgers has made his mind up about Mike Nawrocki. Yep. Do you think he could possibly turn that in? It all comes down to your day-to-day approach to the game at training, as much as anything with Brendan Rodgers, doesn't it?
I think so. I think, and I think the manager's earned the right for us to show a bit of trust in him. If he doesn't see a future for the player at the club, I'm prepared to back the manager. But it is difficult because you see performances like tonight, and I know it's a relatively meaningless game, as meaningless as our games get. But there definitely is a player there. It's just he's clearly just not a Brendan Rodgers player at this moment in time, or at least that's the only way we can perceive it from the limited times we've seen him this season. But I think he's done well tonight. I think, as you say, he's been a better of the two central defenders. You wouldn't be able to pick out the £6 million player between them at the moment. I just think maybe these opportunities have came at a point in the season where his time to impress is running out. Even if he gets the supporters on side, he said the full season to get the manager on side, and he's not managed it. So, I think you've got to read something into that.
Speaks volumes, doesn't it? Mark, Anthony Smith, Schlupp is a no for me. I agree with you, Mark. As I say it, the one thing that is a prerequisite is effort, it's passion, it's desire, all these wee things that you can't put a figure on. Absolutely. And he's got to do much, much more. He's been hooked at half-time this season. Wouldn't be surprised if he got hooked tonight. Smell the glove, the Yang gang. Am I a member of the Yang gang? That's what you want to know, Smell the glove. At the beginning of the game, I told you I wasn't convinced by Yang, right? I think he's been brilliant tonight. I think Yang has been brilliant. And obviously he scores the goal that puts us back in front before the half-time whistle. But not just the goal. I think that, early on, one thing I need to say here, first 20 minutes, Aberdeen were just clattering us all over the park. Now, we never even mentioned this before the game, Chris. We never mentioned it in the lead up to this. The fact that you want to rest players, you want to get minutes in other guys' legs. We never actually mentioned the fact that they might come out and boot us all over the park. I've said it before. Aberdeen are the dirtiest team in the league. I know Kilmarnock love a red card, but Aberdeen are the dirtiest team in the league. Shinnie's one of the worst culprits.
Oh yeah.
Nielsen, who's not playing tonight, he's
I know.
worse than
I was
him.
going to say the only reason he's not being booked is he's not in the park.
He's a hammer thrower. He's an absolute hammer thrower, and they've done it every single game they've played against us. And you're looking at that thinking, right, we've got a Scottish Cup final just round the corner here, and they're booting us all over the park. And Yang, I think in the first 20 minutes got kicked 3 times. But the good thing is, though, what I liked about that was the fact that he kept coming back. He kept running at the fullback. And both wings, by the way, him and James have switched a few times tonight. And he was in the right place at the right time with Forrest clipping that ball in. And good finish by Yang. And am I turning around? Am I thinking to myself, Yang maybe have a future? Possibly. And he's a player that Rodgers likes, clearly.
Bless him. Yeah, he's. I'm glad you described the goal because I was downstairs watching the match and I had to run up here and get walked on here so I could come on. So I actually missed Yang's goal, but I was quite impressed with his performance up to that point. There was a couple of moments where he does one brilliant run down the right hand side, I think it is, and he beats about 2 or 3 players, and they're really flying in with the challenges, and he just bypasses them all, and actually puts in a really good ball for I think it was a Bernardo shot, which was well saved. But yeah, I think Yang. The best way he was described brilliantly at the start of the show is busy. He has been busy. He's putting himself about. He's getting involved in a few challenges. He's been on the end of a couple of headers. I think he should do better with the second one. First one, I think he has a great cross, but it's a difficult one to keep down. So you can kind of forgive him that one.
It came from Ralston, the first one, didn't it? He always zips it in.
It did, and actually, mentioned to both Tony and Jamesy Forrest putting in some brilliant balls from that right hand side tonight. Jamesy, I think, has been man of the match. Actually, I've really been impressed with him so far. I think he's so unlucky not to score, but he's just playing with a maturity and an assurance, and yeah, he's playing like a proper class player, to be honest, tonight. But Yang has looked, he's erratic, but he's good, if you know what I mean. So. And we've seen him score with a couple of headers before, and the fact he's eventually got his goal shows his persistence played off. But I'd say tonight, going forward, the wingers have done well on both sides. I have to say I've been quite impressed with both Jamesy and Yang.
Well, when you consider both of them are second choice at the club now. Both of them are second choice in their preferred positions. Yang has definitely developed physically since he came to the football club.
Yeah,
I think you can see that.
Looks harder, to be honest. Just looks like he's more prepared to do what we'd expect Schlupp to do. He's more prepared to go and put his body on the line, I think, on the evidence of tonight.
Yeah, but the big question again, you're talking about these guys coming in and having to do something to really catch the manager's eye if they want to get a jersey for the cup final. You're looking at Nawrocki thinking, look, if everybody's fit, Carter Vickers plays.
Yeah,
and I don't think I'd like Nawrocki to be playing out of position as such, on his weaker left side. That was an emergency against Rangers. He played so well, he kept his jersey for the Hearts game that followed. But unless he can play on the left-hand side, I wouldn't be playing him. So I would go back to Scales. Now, there might be people that disagree with that. Let us know in the comments. Schlupp, absolutely not. He's not getting a jersey for me. Yang, I think he's maybe saying to the gaffer, look, count me in. Because it's one of these situations where Kuhn's a better player. Kuhn is a better technical footballer than Yang. But has he shown the form? He's maybe came into it in the last week or so. But, the way I look at it, who gets picked against St Johnstone? If it's Yang again and he performs again, it's going to seem slightly harsh because he seems to have the measure. This is the opponents that we're going to be playing in the Scottish Cup final. So, yeah, I think he poses a slight dilemma. Johnny Kenny doesn't, for me. He was one we spoke about before the game, Chris. He's trying. It's all a bit laboured. He's dropped deep a few times, but it doesn't seem to be clicking for him.
I think that... And I feel bad saying it, but I've struggled to pick him out at times tonight. There's been a couple of occasions. One, I think he was wrongly flagged offside, doesn't then manage to get the shot off. There's definitely a willingness and there's an energy in there, but the problem is that we can't even blame it on the service because I think Jamesy in particular has put in some really good crosses tonight, and Kenny's just not found himself in a position, and it's frustrating to watch actually. And I've really struggled to pick him out during the game in any real key moments, and I think that unfortunately is a bit of an indictment on his play. And look, hopefully he gets some more minutes in the second half because I would love to see him come out and really show what he can do.
He's still in the park.
Brilliant.
Yeah,
but yeah, he's at the moment he's got the most to prove for me. I mean, if we're assuming Schlupp's kind of a write-off, I think Kenny's probably, he's got a lot to do to not go the same way in this match.
Absolutely, and the game's about to kick off. Go and enjoy the second half. Chris and I will be back at full time, and hopefully we're talking about another victory for Celtic. So join us at full time on A Celtic State of Mind.
On hoops.